alaikum, everybody. My name is Isra Hirsi. I am a 16-year-old climate activist from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Why do you feel like it's important for you to be a climate change activist?
Yeah, so I definitely didn't see myself doing climate work when I was a kid. I definitely was like socially aware of what was going on around me. I went to protests with my family when I was really little, and I don't know. I've always just been the type of person to try to make as much change as I could. I remember telling myself when I was a kid that I wanted to be a change maker, and the opportunity to get involved in climate was essentially me joining my high school's environmental club. And from there, I just kind of got more and more involved. But I guess those spaces weren't really meant for me, as they were really like white dominated. And so I had the ability to, create my own space with the group that I'm a part of.
Yeah, and what group are you a part of?
Yeah, so I'm the executive director of USC's Climate Strike.
That's awesome. For our viewers that don't know much about the U.S. Climate Strike, could you speak a little bit about it and who is it made up of? Why is it so important?
Yeah, so USC's Climate Strike is essentially a youth climate org. We just decided to come together for March 15th because there was no group organizing the global climate strike in the United States. So we were able to just kind of start organizing. I'm one of the co-founders. And from there, we kind of just, mobilize young people with advocacy on policy. And we're between the ages of 10 to 22. So.
Wow. As a Muslim, what does it mean to you to be an advocate for climate change?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to recognize that, we are all on this earth to protect this earth. And, it's important to remember that we have to protect the animals and, the trees and the water and the air and things like that. And I think that really ties into, Islam, and making sure that we are, being really, really sacred to the world around us. And so I think that's kind of one of the ways in which I feel tied, and how important climate is to talk about, especially in Muslim spaces.
What advice would you give to other Muslims when it comes to protecting our environment and our home, our planet?
So the first thing that I would say as advice for young Muslim folks trying to get involved is, one, recognizing that what's happening in your own community. So educating yourself on what's happening to your own air, your own water, and how the climate crisis is impacting you, because it's impacting everybody. And then also using the knowledge that you've gained to spread around your community, telling your family, telling your friends, and making sure that everybody is aware of what's going on. And then from there, figuring out ways in which how you as an individual can take individual actions to make sure that isn't a big problem. For example, taking shorter showers, or trying to eat more less meat, or doing things like recycling or composting, things like that. And even if you don't feel like you're not doing enough, which in reality individual action won't be doing a lot, I would say try to look for local groups that are doing the type of work that you want to be doing.
And also, can you explain what the Green New Deal is?
Yeah, so essentially the Green New Deal is these I would say they can be policies, but as of right now, I think of them as ideals. But essentially, the Green New Deal is this massive idea brought up by this group called Sunrise. And Sunrise created the Green New Deal as a playoff of the New Deal, which happened back in the day. And it's essentially a way in which we can, if the entirety of the Green New Deal were to be passed into Congress, then we would be able to probably reverse a lot of the things that are going on right now. So the Green New Deal is just this massive list of policies or ways in which we can combat climate change. And it's really extensive. It focuses a lot on how to make a just transition from the way in which we are, surviving on fossil fuels and things like that, into, greener forms, or, folks are working in coal plants or in mines, that we figure out ways in which to give them renewable jobs.
Yeah.
And so the Green New Deal is just a great way in which we can move forward from where we're at now to a cleaner and greener future.
How do you use being a climate change activist to talk back?
Yeah, so as a Black Muslim woman within the climate space, I feel like my own existence is a forum in which I can talk back, only because people like me don't get to be able to take up these types of spaces. And so being in white-dominated spaces is a form in which I can infiltrate the space and also make sure that my identity and who I am as a person are always at the forefront of the conversation, as well as recognizing that, me being in these spaces allows me to inspire, but also create more space for other Muslim girls that are trying to get involved. And so I think making sure that you're talking, I would say me talking about things like intersectionality and my identities is how I would talk back. Yeah, so I would say for the older Muslim folks out there to use the voice that you have to uplift younger organizers or activists in your own communities, trying to give them resources if you have the ability to, as well as attending our events. If you have the ability to skip work on Friday, I would skip work on Friday, or any of the other strikes and things like that, just to show solidarity with the young people that are taking this action.